The Buddha's Path, Awakening with 108 Dhamma Similes, Part 2. 57. What's wrong and what's right? We've seen that this bowl, no matter where you put it, will someday have to break. This plate, no matter where you put it, will someday have to break. But we have to teach our children to wash these things so that they're clean and put them away safely. We have to teach children in line with these conventions so that we can use the bowl for a long time. This is a sign that we understand the Dhamma and are practicing the Dhamma. If you see that the bowl is going to break and tell your children, don't worry about it. When you've finished eating out of it, you don't have to wash it. If you drop it, it doesn't matter. It's not really ours. Toss it anywhere you want, for it's ready to break. If you speak in this way, you're simply too stupid. If we understand conventions, then when we fall sick, we look for medicine to take. When we feel hot, we take a bath. When we feel cold, we find something to keep the body warm. When we're hungry, we find rice to eat. We know that even though we eat rice, the body's still going to die. But at the moment, it hasn't reached its time to die. Like this bowl, it hasn't yet broken, so we take care of it so that we can benefit from it while we can. 58. Feeding through the mouth. People who are intelligent, you don't have to teach a lot. People who are not intelligent, no matter how much you teach them, they don't understand. But this depends on the teacher too. By and large, we teach when we're in a bad mood. As when we teach our children, it's only when we're angry with them that we teach them, and then it's just a matter of yelling at them. We're not willing to teach them nicely. When people are in a bad mood, why should you teach one another? I'd say not to teach at that time. Wait until everyone's in a better mood. No matter how wrong the other person is, put it aside for the time being. Wait until you're both in a good mood. Remember this, okay? From what I've observed, lay people teach their children only when they're angry with them. And so it hurts the children's feelings. You're giving them something that's not good, so why should they accept it? You suffer. Your children suffer. That's the way things are. We all like what's good, but our goodness isn't enough. If you try to give someone something good, but you don't have a sense of time and place, a sense of your role, nothing good comes from it. It's like delicious food. You have to eat it with your mouth if you're going to benefit from it. But try stuffing it in your ear. Will it give any benefit? Will that delicious food give any benefit? All of us have our openings. You have to look for the other person's openings. That's the way it is with everybody. 59. Potters beating pots. When raising your children, you need to have discernment. Have you ever watched potters? Potters beat their pots all day. They beat them to make them into pots. They don't beat them to break them. It's the same with your children. You have to keep teaching them. When the time comes to be fierce with them, be fierce only with your mouth, but not with your heart. Don't make yourself suffer. Even though you may be in a bad mood, you keep on teaching them in the same way that a potter beats his pots all day. His intention is to make the pots beautiful. He doesn't beat them to break them. You should teach your children in the same way. 60. Forcing the fruit. Don't get angry with people who can't yet do the practice. Just keep on teaching them. When their faculties mature, they'll be ready to accept what you say. If you keep on acting in this way, problems fall away. It's like a fruit that's still unripe. You can't force it to become sweet because it's still unripe, still sour. It's still small and unripe. You can't force it to become large and sweet. Just let it be. When it matures, it'll grow large on its own, sweet on its own, ripe on its own. If you can think in this way, you can be at your ease. That's the way it is with people in the world. 61. The turtle and the snake. A forest fire was coming, and a turtle struggled to get away from the flames. It walked past a snake coiled up, and it forgot all about death. It felt sorry for the snake. The fire kept spreading closer and closer, and the turtle felt sorry for the snake. Why? Because it didn't have any legs, so how was it going to get away? The turtle was so afraid that the fire would burn the snake that it turned around to help the snake. The snake didn't do anything. As the fire got closer and closer, the snake uncoiled itself and slithered away. The turtle was stuck right there. It couldn't walk fast enough to get away from the fire, so it was burned to death. This is a comparison. It was all because of the stupidity of the turtle, because it thought that only if you had legs could you move. Anyone without legs couldn't move. When it came across the snake, it saw that the snake didn't have any legs. It misunderstood and thought that the fire would burn it to death. It was afraid the snake would die, but instead it died. Even though it had legs, it couldn't run. The snake, though, kept its cool. When the fire got close, it slithered away and escaped the danger. 62. The cow knows the field. A person with conviction is like a cow eating grass. If we let it loose in a field of grass, it eats grass. If it won't eat grass, it's a pig. The same with people of conviction. You don't have to teach them a lot. Just let them loose in the field of merit, the monastic sangha, and they'll follow your example, practice in line with your example of their own accord. 63. Barking at leaves. When you go for alms in the village, put on your robes neatly before you go. Exercise restraint as you go for alms. I've seen new monks and novices who don't know anything. When they eat in someone's house, they have to look around all over the place. Why do they have to look around? Some of them even stare. It's even worse than lay people. It's because they've been living in the wilderness and haven't seen anything like this for a long while. When they go into someone's home, they see this, see that, and it pulls at their eyes. They look all around because they're hungry. It's kind of like a dog. When it stays in the village market, it doesn't bark very much. But if you take it out into the wilderness and the wind blows the leaves around, it barks all night. So this is important. You have to be very careful when you go for alms. 64. Die in the mind. It's like rainwater, which is water that's clear and clean. Its clarity is normally clean. But if we put green or yellow dye into it, the water will turn green or yellow. It's the same with the mind. When it meets up with a preoccupation it likes, it's at ease. When it meets up with a preoccupation it doesn't like, it's ill at ease. It's like a leaf blown by the wind. It flutters. You can't depend on it. Flowers and fruits also get blown by the breeze. If they get blown by the breeze and fall from the tree, they never ripen. It's the same with the minds of human beings. Preoccupations blow them around, drag them around, pull them around so that they fall, just like the fruit. 65. Not awfully anything. Suppose there's a rock placed right here in front of us. It weighs about 12 kilograms placed right here in front of us. Its weight is normal for it. It just stays right there. It's normal for it. But if we go to lift it, it doesn't feel normal at all. We find fault with it. This rock is awfully heavy. That's how we find fault with it. Actually, it's not awfully anything. When it sits there, it's perfectly normal for itself. Even though it's heavy, it doesn't cause anyone to suffer, as long as no one tries to pick it up and carry it. It's the same with our preoccupations. When preoccupations come passing in, then as long as we don't pick them up to carry them, as long as we let them go and put them down, there's no heaviness. If you had no attachment to things, it would be like not carrying this rock around. Even though the rock would have its weight, you wouldn't be weighed down, because you're not carrying it. Your preoccupations, whether they're good or bad, there's not much to them. If you know them for what they are, you let them go. You don't carry them around. You don't latch on to them. They dissolve into the air, that's all. They don't come after you. 66. Playthings for the mind. It's like a child in your home. Suppose your child is always getting into mischief. No matter what you do, it won't stop. It won't stay still. So what do? You give it a balloon to play with. It's content to stay engrossed in its balloon. It doesn't cry, it doesn't bother you. Why? Because you give it something to play with, and so it's engrossed in its balloon. It's the same with the mind. When it's in a turmoil, jumping all around, give it a meditation topic to play with. What kind of topic? Recollection of the Buddha, recollection of the Dhamma, recollection of the Sangha, recollection of virtue, recollection of generosity, recollection of death. Let it contemplate death. 67. The balloon of tranquility. It's as if your child gets a balloon. Whatever else it's been playing with, it puts aside. Its interest in other preoccupations grows quiet. It plays as it likes with the balloon. It's right there. Its mind is quiet. This level of quiet is just the level of quiet of a child with a balloon. Its mind is all tied up in the balloon. But this level of quiet isn't enough. The child sees the balloon floating in the air and it's engrossed, that's all. It doesn't think about whether or not the balloon is going to burst. It doesn't think. It sees the balloon floating in the air and it's engrossed. This is what's called samatha, tranquility. Vipassana, or insight, is a matter of making your discernment greater than that. You know what's going to happen to the balloon. Will it eventually burst? That sort of thing. Eventually, you see in the mind that the balloon is inconstant. It's sure to burst. Your discernment shoots out to that point. Tranquility doesn't have any discernment. It sees the balloon floating in the air and just keeps playing with it. When the balloon bursts, pop, it cries. Why doesn't it think? It doesn't have the discernment to see that the balloon will burst. It doesn't look into inconstancy, stress, and not self. It just sees the balloon floating and it feels satisfied, engrossed. This is tranquility, the stillness of tranquility. With concentration, the mind is quiet, but defilements are still there. Simply that, for the moment, no defilements appear in the mind. That's why it's not disturbed. It's quiet like a balloon for the time being. There's still air in the balloon and it's still floating. It's just there to make the child happy over made-up things, that's all. Tranquility is just like that. 68. The balloon is already burst. It's like a child or an adult playing with a balloon. You see the balloon floating and you ask, what's eventually going to happen to the balloon? Oh, it's not for sure. It's inconstant, stressful, and not self. There's nothing dependable about it. Eventually, it's sure to burst. This is the view of the adult, the view of a person of discernment. It doesn't trust the balloon. It always sees that the balloon will burst for sure. It sees clearly. Eventually, the balloon bursts, boom, and the mind is still at ease. Why is it at ease? Because insight has arisen, because it sees that the balloon is burst before it bursts, right? It's already burst. It bursts after it's burst in our view. That's why no problem arises. It's the same with our body or any object we get and we love a lot. We have to understand that eventually it'll have to break down. I'll give you an example. A lovely cup or plate. Once we get it, some people get really happy and glad. That's the way children are. People without discernment think that it's good, that it won't break. But people with discernment see this glass or this plate when they get it and happiness arises and think, this is just, that's all. It's a vessel that one day is going to have to leave us. It'll have to get broken. If it doesn't break and leave us, we have to break and leave it. When you can think in this way, the mind has gone to a high level. It's trying to gain release from suffering and stress. After a while, as we use the plate and it eventually breaks, no problem can arise. Why? Because we know that it's already broken. This is insight. When this glass breaks, it's no big deal. It's perfectly normal. 69. When you know how. Don't get stuck on the text. Don't focus on what all the different teachers say. Talk about things that are Dhamma. It's like being a student in school. We study books in school. As long as we don't know, we study books in school. We read in school, write in school, and get taught in school until we can pass the exams. We now can read and write. When a friend sends a letter to us at home, we can read it at home. We don't have to carry it to school to read. Once we've learned the alphabet, we can read the letter anywhere and understand what it's saying. If we want to write a letter, we can write it at home or at the side of the road and send it off, because we now know how to write. It's the same with our practice. When we practice the precepts, we don't have to take the precepts from monks because we already know how to practice. If a monk teaches us, we listen. We take them. They still count as the 5 precepts either way. 70. The one mango. So we should always keep on practicing in this way. Tranquility is right in here. Insight is right in here. You can't separate them out. We can separate them in our speech, but we can't separate them in reality. It's like a mango. You can't separate it out. You can't separate ripe from unripe in the mango. We see that at one point in time it's sour, and then after that it's ripe and sweet. Where did the sour go? It's turned into sweet. At first its peel is green, but when it's ripe, it's yellow. Where did the green go? It's turned into the yellow. You can't separate these things out. 71. The one mango explained. This mango is first small, then it's half ripe, then it's ripe. When it's ripe, is it the same mango as the small one? When it comes out as a flower, it's this mango. When it's small, it's this mango. When it's big, it's the same mango. When it's half ripe, it's the same mango. When it's ripe, it's the same mango. The same with virtue, concentration, and discernment. Virtue in simple terms is abandoning evil. A person without virtue is hot. If he abandons evil, he cools down, for he has no guilt. That lack of guilt is the reward of virtue. It makes the mind peaceful. The mind gets concentrated. When the mind is concentrated, it's clear and clean. You can see lots of things in it. It's like water with no ripples. If you look into it, you see not only the reflection of your face. You can see all the way to the roof above you. When birds fly past, you can see them too. So these things are all the same thing, like the one mango. 72. The mango in harmony. You have to look for concentration, discernment, and virtue all together at the same time. When they develop together. When your perfections reach fullness, they're full together. Your right views. When your discernment sees rightly, every factor in the Eightfold Path will be right. If it's right only 10%, then each of the 10 perfections will be only 10%. It's like a mango. When the fruit is ripe, the entire fruit is ripe. There's no part that isn't ripe. It's ripe altogether. When it's half ripe, the entire fruit is half ripe. It doesn't separate into different parts. If we separate things into different parts, we don't understand anything, and we create difficulties for ourselves. So we're taught to train ourselves in virtue, concentration, and discernment all at the same time. That way, our virtue, our concentration, and our discernment will be in harmony with one another. Just like this mango, when it's unripe, it's all unripe in harmony. When it's half ripe, it's all half ripe in harmony. When it's ripe, it's all ripe in harmony in just the same way, because it's a single fruit. 73. The fluttering mind. Stillness of mind without discernment is like a leaf that flutters when stirred by a breeze. In other words, stillness of mind without discernment is dark and then bright, back and forth. It's like a person who eats meat and gets a piece stuck in his teeth. When he pries it out, he feels better. When he's hungry, he eats some more and gets another piece stuck in his teeth. It hurts again. When he pries it out, he feels better again. 74. The snake under the cloth. Mental stillness on its own has other things mixed in with it. It's still because there are things mixed in with it, but it's not aware of them. That's why it's still. Suppose that this foot-wiping cloth that my feet are on has a poisonous snake living under it. I can put my feet here without any fear because I don't see the snake. But actually, there's a poisonous snake right here. I have no idea, so I can relax with no fear of anything. The fact that I don't feel any fear is because I don't know that there's a poisonous snake right here. This is samatha, tranquility. Who cares if there are defilements there? I feel peaceful right now. This is called stillness of mind without the defilements being still. It's called samatha. We train the mind to be still so that in the next step, the defilements will be still. That's an affair of discernment. 75. Healing the wound. Tranquility is stillness that lasts only for a little while. The stillness is the foundation for insight. Insight is seeing clearly, understanding more clearly than you did before. Insight is not simply still. The stillness of tranquility is like running away from noises to a wilderness where there's no noise. If you have lots of children, you run away to a wilderness where there are no children. When you don't see your children or don't hear any noise, you find stillness. But that kind of stillness is like having a wound, stitching it up and covering it up with a bandage until it looks like it's healed. But actually, there's still an infection inside. When the infection flares up, you cut it open, stitch it up again, put medicine in it, and the wound heals over. But there's still infection inside. It's not really healed. That's tranquility. With insight, you have to remove all the infected tissue so that it can heal from the inside. Don't stitch it up. Wait until it's free from infection, and then close it off. Shoot it full of medicine so that it heals from the inside to the out. When the outside is healed, that's it. The inside is already good, so it won't get infected again. That's insight meditation. 76. The stillness of insight. When the mind reaches that level of stillness, it's not enough. The stillness of tranquility. You have to make it still through insight. You have to give rise to discernment. With the stillness of tranquility, it's like not being able to be still in a hot place. You have to go to the seaside to be still. When you go back to where it's hot, you're not still anymore. The preoccupations of tranquility are only on this level of stillness. But with the preoccupations of insight, then when it's hot in the mountains, you can stay there comfortably. When you go down to the seaside, you can stay there comfortably. You can focus on knowing these things, and the mind doesn't run. It knows pleasure. It knows pain. That's how we know when we practice. 77. Rocks in the way. We're walking along a road that goes straight ahead. It doesn't matter how many kilometers it goes, we just keep walking straight ahead. When we find a log or a rock obstructing our way, we pick it up and throw it off to the side of the road. We're trying to make the mind quiet and still. The preoccupations that arise by way of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body all come together here at the mind. When the mind gets involved with these things, it's like a rock obstructing our way. It interferes with our walking, so we pick it up and throw it off to the side. The preoccupation arising at that moment we see as inconstant, stressful, and not self. We throw it off to the side. Don't hold on to anything at all. Let it go and keep on walking. If love comes, we let it go. If hatred comes, we let it go. That's all. 78. Killing your meditation. When standing, walking, sitting, and lying down, keep your mindfulness continuous at all times. This is called practicing meditation, kamathana, correctly. The reason why our mindfulness isn't continuous is because we don't do it. Doing it isn't something the body does. The mind is what does it. If we do our mindfulness so that it's continuous, so that we're constantly aware, it's like drops of water that flow continuously so that they become a continuous stream of water. If you can train the mind in this way, your meditation will progress quickly and well. But these days, people go practice vipassana for 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, 15 days, and then they come out of retreat. They say that they've already done vipassana and they're already good at it, so they go to sing and dance and play around. When that happens, their vipassana is gone and they don't have any left. When they do all kinds of unskillful things that stir up the heart and damage it like this, you can't call it practice. It's a mode of practice like planting a tree where you plant it today, and then in 3 days' time, you pull it up and plant it over there. Then after another 3 days, you pull it up again. The tree is going to die and you won't get to eat the fruit. Meditation can die in just the same way. 79. Staying at home. If you have mindfulness and alertness at all times, you'll come to your senses. If you waste your time playing with other things, suffering will arise and you'll suffer because you don't have any mindfulness. Your alertness isn't here. It's like your home. If you leave and don't close the door, dogs will come in and eat your stored-up rice. Thieves will come in and steal all your things. It's the same when you don't have mindfulness. Actually, you have mindfulness, but it's mindful of other things. It's like leaving your house. You're still there, but you're not there in the house. You're there somewhere else. It's the same with mindfulness. You have mindfulness, but your mindfulness isn't here. Thieves come and steal the things you have here, but you're not here. Your here is somewhere else. Your mindfulness is working somewhere over there. It's not working here. If your mindfulness is working here, then you'll sense when a preoccupation strikes the mind. If the mind likes it, you'll know, and you'll see that it's inconstant. Don't latch onto it or else you'll fall into suffering and stress. You'll see. This is inconstant, stressful, and not self, right there. That means that you're practicing the Dhamma. This is why people who practice have mindfulness, the ability to recollect, at all times while they're standing, walking, sitting, and lying down. Alertness always knows what we're doing right now. This is how you have the opportunity to awaken to the Dhamma. You'll have the opportunity to chase these dogs out of your home, to chase away the thieves that have come to steal your things, because you're right here. You'll have the opportunity not to lose your belongings. 80. Fix it right here. This practice is called the practice of the Dhamma. If you can see every day, if you can try to see continually into your mind, then even if you're doing work, you'll see. Try to see with every moment. You might say, "Oh ho, Venerable Father, I don't have any time to meditate. I can't meditate. I'm always busy." That's how we tend to see things. Actually, where you're busy is the place where you practice. Wherever there's heat, there's coolness right there. You don't understand. All you see is that when heat arises, there's nothing but heat there. No coolness at all. Actually, wherever there's busyness, there's stillness right there. Wherever there's wrongness, there's rightness right there. Wherever there's turmoil, there's stillness right there. Look, if you do something wrong right here, where are you going to correct it? It's as if something goes wrong in your motorcycle right here, right in this spot. Where are you going to fix it? You fix it right where something has gone wrong, and then it'll go right there. That's all. Wherever you encounter a preoccupation you like, you practice right there. Oh, this isn't for sure. We've already experienced pleasure. We've already experienced pain many, many times. This won't turn into anything else. It'll turn into nothing but suffering. If you can think correctly like this, the mind will keep staying in that state. 81. A fish on land. Our different postures hide pain. When you've been sitting a long time and then switch positions because of the pain disappears. That's why we don't see the pain. It's like youth hiding old age inside. The mind is taken with the looks, the sounds, the smells, the tastes of youth. But if you stay with it for a while, old age starts to show its face. The mind is like a fish in water. When you catch it and bring it on land, it'll squirm and struggle to get back into the water. If you simply let it go, it'll be at its ease. But if you catch the mind and make it sit in meditation, it'll see pain. If you simply let it go as it likes, It won't see pain, like the fish in water. But when you try sitting in meditation, it's like a fish caught and placed on land. It'll see pain immediately. 82. Overcoming pain. Suppose you're sitting in concentration and it really hurts. When it hurts, you come out of meditation. Then you meditate some more until you reach the point where it hurts, and then you come out again. This is why you don't understand suffering even though you suffer. Wherever you sit and meditate, you suffer pain. So you ask yourself, what can I do to overcome this? You have to make a decision. Sit, but don't move. Let the body die. You depend on what the Buddha said. Whatever arises passes away. If pain arises, why won't it pass away? As soon as you sit, there's nothing but pain. It hurts. It aches. Sweat starts flowing in drops as big as corn kernels. You're about to move, but you say, no, let it die. You have to take it that far until the mind goes beyond death. The pain disappears. Once you've gone beyond death, discernment arises. Confidence gets strong. You thought that you wouldn't be able to stand it. You thought that you were about to die. This is called training yourself with a heavy hand. It's not for general use. After that, whenever you meditate, you understand, because you've seen how far the pain can go. This is called overcoming pain. If you can't overcome pain, then when you reach that point, you fall out of concentration. You die every time. You don't have any strength. You have to overcome it someday in your practice. Once you've overcome it, you won't be afraid of it, because you've seen what it's like. It's like being a boxer. If you haven't boxed in the ring, you're afraid. Once you've boxed in the ring, you're not afraid anymore, for you know what it's like. You have to experiment with this. This is called overcoming pain. 83. Why study? If you close your eyes, you won't see any light. Things won't be bright. When things aren't bright, you don't see light and colors. You don't see your way. The Dhamma of study is like your eyes. Your eyes help you see where you're going. Wherever you walk, you have to depend on your eyes to look ahead. While your eyes are looking, your feet keep walking at the same time. Whatever your activities, you have to depend on your eyes to open the way, to forge a trail through the darkness. That's their nature. It's the same with the Dhamma of study. If you know how to put it to use, it serves a purpose. If you don't put it to use, it won't serve any purpose. It's like having a knife that you hone until it's sharp. If you put it away without using it, it won't serve any purpose. No matter how sharp it is, if you don't use it, if you put it away, it won't serve any purpose. So when you've studied, you should put it to use so as to benefit from it. If you study but don't put it to use, it's like a farmer growing rice in a field but not harvesting the rice, or growing a garden but not harvesting the vegetables. You have to study first. Only then should you think about going out to practice in the forest. You have to study what the aim of practicing in the forest is. Only then should you go practice in the forest. It's like knowing the purpose of growing rice before you grow rice, or the purpose of growing vegetables before you grow vegetables. Know the aim, the purpose, of practicing in the forest. 84. The name of the fruit. The fruit that you offered to the monks. I don't know its name, but I know that its flavor is sweet and delicious. That much I know, but I don't know what it's called, and it's not really necessary. All that's necessary is knowing that its flavor is sweet and delicious, right? That's really necessary. What's the name of this fruit? That's not really necessary. If someone tells you, you can remember it. But if you don't know the name, you can let the matter go. After all, knowing the name doesn't increase the sweetness or make the fruit more sour. The knowledge that comes from the practice, we practice so that we'll know. It's knowledge that knows all the way in. Once you know all the way in, you let go. The knowledge that comes from the practice, once it knows all the way in, lets go. The knowledge that comes from studying doesn't let go, you know. It fills us up until we're stuffed tight. It ties us down even more. 85. Counting the rootlets. Some people have to keep thinking, what is the mind? What is the heart? All kinds of things, keeping at it, back and forth until they go crazy. They don't understand anything. You don't have to think that far. Just simply ask yourself, what do you have in yourself? There are physical phenomena and mental phenomena, or there's a body and there's a mind. That's enough. Some people ask, I've heard that the Buddha knew everything. Well, if he knew everything, they practice the Dhamma and start arguing. How many roots does a tree have? The Buddha answers that it has tap roots and rootlets. But how many rootlets does it have? That shows they're crazy, right? They want an answer about the rootlets. How many rootlets are there? How many tap roots are there? Why do they ask? Well, the Buddha knew everything, didn't he? He'd have to know all the way to the rootlets. Who would be crazy enough to count them? Do you think the Buddha would be stupid like that? He'd say that there are rootlets and tap roots and that would be enough. It's like cutting our way through the forest. If we felt we had to cut down every tree, all the big trees and all the small trees, we'd be getting out of hand. Would we have to uproot them all in order to get through the forest? We'd cut back just the ones needed to open our way. That's enough. 86. Mr. A and the letter A. When we speak about the Dhamma, it's all a matter of strategy for understanding what's right there. It's a matter of suppositions, a strategy. The genuine Dhamma exists, but it's something you can't see. We have to bring in other things so that we contemplate it. It's like a teacher teaching her students. Suppose Mr. A has this much money. Mr. A isn't there in the room, so what do? You write down the letter A with a piece of chalk, and you suppose that it's Mr. A. Is it Mr. A? It is as a supposition, but this Mr. A can't run. You can take the letter A and suppose that it's Mr. A and that he has this or that much money. It's Mr. A on the level of supposition, but you can't get this Mr. A to run anywhere, for it's just the letter A. It's a letter A that we can use. It's a strategy. You have to understand that the actual Mr. A isn't there, so you have to write the letter A to serve your purpose. 87. What's that? With the Dhamma, it's not the case that you'll awaken because someone else tells you about it. You already know that you can't get serious about asking whether this is that or that is this. These things are really personal. We talk just enough for you to contemplate, and it's like a child who's never seen anything. He comes out to the countryside and sees a chicken. Daddy, what's that over there? He sees a duck. Daddy, what's that? He sees a pig. Daddy, what's that over there? The father gets tired of answering. The more he answers, the more the child keeps asking, because it's never seen these things. After a while, the father simply says, If you keep playing along with the child's every question, you die of fatigue. The child doesn't get fatigued. Whatever it sees, what's that? What's this? It never comes to an end. Finally, the father says, when you grow bigger, you'll know for yourself. That's the way it is with meditation. I used to be like that. I really was. But when you understand, there are none of those questions. You've grown up. So be intent on contemplating until you understand, and things will gradually unravel themselves. That's the way it is. Keep watch over yourself as much as you can. Keep watch over yourself as much as you can to see if you're lying to yourself. That's what's called keeping watch over yourself. 88. The Farmer and the Cobra. In short, the Dhamma teaches that whatever suffering arises will pass away. There's nothing more than this. There's just suffering arising and suffering passing away. That's all there is, which is why we suffer, why we're in a turmoil in this cycle of wandering on. Why are we in a turmoil? Because we don't know this truth as it actually is. When you don't recognize suffering, you feed it, thinking that it'll be pleasure. But eventually it bites you because it's suffering. It's like the story of the farmer and the cobra. The cobra lies stiff in the cold, and the farmer feels pity for it. He thinks, I have enough kindness to help this animal find some comfort. That's because he doesn't recognize what it is. He doesn't recognize that this is a snake that can bite people. Because he doesn't recognize it, he picks it up and holds it to his chest. As soon as the snake warms up, it bites us. 89. Awakening to the cobra. Most of us, when we hear the words, awakening to the Dhamma, understand that it's something so high and far away that we probably won't awaken in this lifetime. That's how we understand things. Actually, if something is evil and we don't clearly see that it's evil, then we can't abandon it. That means we haven't awakened much to the Dhamma. But if we listen, contemplate, and practice until we see it clearly, we'll see the drawbacks for sure that that thing is evil and we won't dare ever do it again. We won't dare store it up as seeds to plant again. We'll have to throw it away because we've seen the harm it does. Before, we heard that it was evil, and we even said that it was evil, but we still did evil. We still did things that were wrong. That was when we hadn't yet awakened to the Dhamma. When someone awakens to the Dhamma, it's like seeing a cobra, a poisonous snake slithering past. We know that this snake is poisonous, and its poison is dangerous. If it bites anyone, that person will die or suffer horribly. If we see a cobra or a banded krait, we know that its poison is fierce. Anyone it bites will have to die. If he doesn't die, he'll be close to death. This means that we know the snake for what it actually is. We don't dare catch hold of it. No matter who tells us to catch it, we wouldn't dare. This is called awakening to the Dhamma, awakening to the cobra, to the banded krait. We awaken to its poison. It's the same with all forms of evil. If we clearly see the harm they do, it's not hard. We know for ourselves. All I ask is that you keep on practicing, contemplating, and you'll know for yourselves. When you awaken to the Dhamma, the mind will be Dhamma. You'll know the Dhamma. 90. Our responsibilities. When we practice, we're like a man planting a tree. He goes out and gets a tree, digs a hole, puts the tree in the hole, fills the hole with soil, waters it, gives it fertilizer, and keeps it safe from insects. These are our responsibilities, and that's the end of our responsibilities. The responsibility of the tree is to grow. Whether it grows fast or slow, don't force it. If you force it, you suffer. You plant it, and then you think, hey, when is it ever going to grow so that I can get some fruit? As soon as you start complaining, you suffer. Why? Because you don't understand your responsibilities. You take on the responsibilities of others. You take on the responsibilities of the tree. The tree doesn't want anyone to take on its responsibilities. It'll do the work itself. The person has the responsibilities of the person. The owner has the responsibilities of the owner. To keep on watering and fertilizing the tree, to keep on protecting it from insects. That's our duty. If we do the duty of the tree, oh ho, it's really taking a long time to grow. We pull on it to make it tall, to make it grow, and it'll simply die. That's not our duty. It's the same when we practice our precepts well, when we practice concentration well. Discernment will arise. We keep at it gradually, continually, practicing like this, able to think like this, keeping this principle in mind, and we can be at our ease. We and the tree look after each other. The tree will grow healthy and beautiful because we look after it with our practice. As for whether it'll grow fast or slow, leave that to your merit and perfections. But don't abandon it. You have to keep on building your perfections all the time. 91. Cleaning the house. When you construct a house, then when it's finished, only the construction of it is finished, right? The next step is that you have to live in the house and always keep cleaning it. It's not the case that when you finish constructing the house, you can rest at your ease. That's not the case at all. You have to keep cleaning the house continually. It's the same when you practice concentration. When you do concentration, you can't think that you've finished doing it and now you can stop. You have to use your knowledge and mindfulness to be aware of the preoccupations that will disturb and destroy your concentration. You have to know these things. When standing, walking, sitting, and lying down, you have to keep mindfulness in charge at all times. When you finish constructing a house, you can't say that you'll just lie down and rest, When the house gets dirty, what will you do? You'll have to wipe it down and sweep it out, all kinds of things. It's the same when you practice concentration. Getting the mind into concentration isn't hard, but to keep maintaining concentration is hard. Constructing a house isn't hard. In just a few years, you're finished. But you have to keep on cleaning the house for many, many years until it falls apart. As long as you live in it, you have to keep on cleaning it. That's the normal way it is. 92. Better and better. When discernment arises, you can abandon your defilements. As your discernment grows, your behavior will change. You'll abandon your old ways. It's like going into the forest to look for fruit. At first, you find some fruit that's not especially good, but even though it's sour, you take it. You carry it in your basket until you find fruits that are better than that. You throw the old fruits out of your basket. It's because you see that the new ones are better that you change what you're carrying. The same with the mind. When you see the harm and drawbacks of your old ways, you keep on abandoning them. The more you look, the more you keep on abandoning. When you practice, you'll think, this is it, this is good. But when you practice further, oh, what happened then wasn't really refined, so you abandon that too. 93. The compass. It's like having a compass that points north and south. You go into the forest carrying the compass with you, and it will still point north and south. But suppose that the day after you go into the forest, you open your compass and decide that the south end of the needle is pointing west, and the north end of the needle is pointing east. That's when you have to realize that it's just a matter of your own thinking. You're thinking wrong. The needle's still pointing north and south all the time, but you understand that it's pointing east and west. You know and you follow this kind of knowledge. But it's an issue of your thoughts, which you can dissolve, an issue of your feelings, which you can dissolve. The compass is always pointing north and south, but you feel that it's pointing east and west. The mistake is with you. 94. The saltiness of salt. Buddhism is like salt. Salt is always salty. Whoever eats it will find that it's always salty. Whoever doesn't eat it won't taste the saltiness. In the same way, Buddhism can't degenerate. People degenerate. Buddhism doesn't degenerate. Some people see monks behaving in a bad way and they blame Buddhism. It's like a person who doesn't eat salt and complains that salt isn't salty. Actually, the saltiness of salt is there all the time. If anyone eats the saltiness will appear. That's the way it is with Buddhism. 95. Lead versus gold. I'll ask you a question. Suppose there's a hunk of lead weighing 1 kilogram and a hunk of gold weighing 1 kilogram. If you were to ask people to take one of them, which one would they take? It's the same with your son deciding to ordain for life. He sees that ordaining has more value. He sees the whole world as a hunk of lead with no value. That's why he doesn't want it. It's the same as your wanting the kilogram of gold and not the kilogram of lead. Why? Because the lead has less value or no value at all. That's why you decide to take the gold. 96. The thinking of earthworms. These days, Thai people are ordaining less and less. I don't know why. Whether it's because of their work or because the world is developing, I don't know. In the past, people would ordain for at least 4 years, 5 years. But now there are people ordaining for 7 days, 15 days. There are even people who ordain in the morning and disrobe in the evening. It's because of this sort of thing that Buddhism will disappear. Some people say that if people ordained the way I say 3 or 5 years, the country wouldn't develop. We'd run out of people staying at home. There wouldn't be anyone making a living. We wouldn't be able to keep up with the world. So I tell them that this kind of thinking is the thinking of earthworms. Earthworms live in the dirt. They've been eating dirt from the very beginning. But even though they keep on eating, they're afraid that they'll run out of dirt. So when they excrete dirt, they put it up next to their heads to eat, for they're afraid they'll run out of dirt. This is the thinking of earthworms. People who think that the world won't develop, that it'll come to an end. That's the thinking of earthworms. 97. Neither large nor small. This bell here, do you think it's large or small? A layman answers, small, sir. Small, eh? It's not large. Is that how you see it? This bell is a physical phenomenon. Your feeling about it is a mental phenomenon. There's a physical phenomenon and a mental phenomenon. Your mind, your intention. Craving can want to make this bell larger right now or smaller right now. All of you sitting here. When you look at this bell, it's hard to answer. You don't know whether it's large or small because there's nothing else to measure it against. If you put an alms bowl right here, you'll see that the bell is small. It's not large anymore. But if there's no alms bowl, the bell is large. Why is it like that? Everyone who says the bell is small wants it to be larger than this, and so the bell gets smaller. But actually, if the bell stands here by itself, it's not large and it's not small. It's just as much as it is. What makes it large or small if not craving? The desire for it to be smaller or larger. The bell itself is neither large nor small. It's just the way it is. 98. Why? When we understand that the movements of the mind have to be the way they are on their own, that's the way they are. They don't why anyone at all. The problem is that we latch onto things. It's like water flowing. It flows along in its waterway. If you latch onto it, asking why it flows, you give rise to suffering. If you understand that it flows in line with its own affairs, there's no suffering. 99. Grabbing hold of a dog. Even when you see that something is true, you can't grab hold of it. It's like a dog. Try grabbing hold of a dog's leg without letting go, and it will turn around and bite you. Or a snake. Try grabbing hold of its tail, grabbing hold without letting go. It'll simply bite you. So don't hold on. Let it go. Put it down. It's the same with conventions. We act in line with conventions, but we're taught not to grab hold of them. They're there to use, to provide us with conveniences so that we can live. They're not there to grab hold of them, to latch onto them to the point of giving rise to suffering and stress. The things that you understand to be right, if you latch onto them, you separate your mind into two parts because your views have turned wrong. 100. When the bees leave the hive. When we see emptiness, the king of death can't catch up with us. Death can't reach us. Why? Because there's no us. There are just piles of form, piles of feelings, piles of perceptions, piles of fabrications, piles of consciousness, that's all. So where's the person? Like that beehive over there. If all the bees leave and you try to take the hive, will you touch any bees? No, because it's empty. All you'll touch will be the beeswax. You don't know where the bees went because they don't live there anymore. That's how the Buddha taught. Take your views outside of self in that way, and you run out of questions. And not only do you run out of questions, there are also no answers, no questions, no one to answer the questions. That's where everything runs out. You know what it's like when things run out? Running out means there's nothing there. 101. Eating out of the shit pot. To see things as empty means seeing that there's nothing there. You see that this spittoon is there. You see a cup and a plate, and the cup and the plate are there. It's not that they're not there, but They're there in emptiness. They're empty. If you ask this spittoon what it is, it won't answer you because it's not anything. You can call it a spittoon if you want, but it's just your supposition. Or you could call it a pot. It's still just a supposition that you've made. Its actuality is there's nothing to it, but we grab onto it and hold onto it firmly. I'll give you an example. Suppose there are two groups of people, one group intelligent, the other group stupid. They go to buy things in the market. The stupid group doesn't know anything, so they buy a shit pot and use it to fix rice, because they don't know anything at all. The intelligent people see that and they get disgusted. How can they use a shit pot as a rice pot? It's disgusting. Why do they find it disgusting? The shit pot is still new. It's never been used, so it's like an ordinary pot. It's still clean. So why are they disgusted by it? Because they hold on to the idea that it's a shit pot, that's all. Actually, it's just an ordinary pot. They suffer and get disgusted because they cling to their ideas about it. So with these two groups of people, which one is really intelligent? Which one is really stupid? The pot is just an object, an ordinary pot that we suppose to be a shit pot, so people get disgusted by it. If you put curry in it, they get disgusted. Put rice in it, and they get disgusted because of their wrong views, stuck on suppositions. 102. The parts of a knife. This knife placed here. It has the edge of its blade. It has the back of its blade. It has its handle, all of its parts. When you lift it up, can you lift just the edge of the blade? Can you pick up just the back of the blade? Just the handle? The handle is the handle of the knife. The back of the blade is the back of the knife's blade. The edge of the blade is the edge of the knife's blade. When you pick up the knife, you also pick up its handle, the back of its blade, and the edge of its blade. Could it split off just the edge of its blade for you? This is an example. When you try to take just what's good, what's bad comes along with it. You want just what's good and to throw away what's bad. You don't learn about what's neither good nor bad. When that's the case, you won't come to the end of things. When you take what's good, what's bad comes along with it. They keep coming together. If you want pleasure, pain comes along with it. They're connected. 103. Knowing in between. It's like going up on the roof or coming down to the floor. When someone climbs up there, he gets on the roof. When he comes down to the floor. If he climbs up to the roof again and falls down, he falls down to the same floor. That's all that most people know. No one knows being in between because there's nothing to measure it. When they say that in between there's no state of becoming, we can't point it out. We can't point it out because there's nothing to mark it. The questions we have to answer are the questions of the practice. Students, for the most part, want to know what merit looks like, what evil looks like, how many leaves there are on a tree, how many roots. If you want to know that sort of thing, the Buddha would probably say you're stupid because all you really need to know is a single leaf. Every leaf on a rubber tree is just the same. The same with the roots. All you need to see is a single root. It's the same with knowing people. If you really know yourself, that's enough. You know every person in the world. 104. When the cabinet is done. I want us all to have endurance, enduring until there's no more endurance. In other words, as soon as you see the truth, you let go. When you let go, you see peace arising. When peace arises, you don't have to practice because you've finished practicing. It's like a cabinet. Before, it was a tree, but there was a problem that required making a cabinet. The tree was cut and shaped because there was still a reason to make the cabinet. Once the cabinet is finished and we've coated it with shellac and put it on display, that's the end of having to do anything. It ends right there in the cabinet. Before, this cabinet was a tree. Now, it's a beautiful cabinet. We can say that what once wasn't beautiful has turned into something beautiful. It's the same with all of us. All of us have been run-of-the-mill people. And not just us, even the Buddha was just the same. He started out ignorant. That's how he came to know. Wherever there's dirtiness, there's cleanliness right there. When you wash that spot, the cleanliness doesn't arise anywhere else. Wherever there's disturbance, there's peace right there. Wherever there's wrongness, there's rightness right there. They're together, both of them, right there. Wherever there's greed, aversion, and delusion, there's lack of greed, lack of aversion, lack of delusion right there. 105. Our own affair. Eventually, the teachings run out. When you know causes, you let go of causes. When you know results, you let go of results. So where will you stay? Above causes and beyond results. Above birth and beyond death. That's where you stay. You stay where everything is ended and runs out. The mind is at peace, away from causes and results, at peace away from birth and death, at peace away from pleasure and pain. It stays in peace like that. There are no causes and effects right there. Once you're above causes and beyond results, that's the end point of what we're practicing. We aim right there. That's why the Buddha taught only that far. After that, what we practice is our own affair. Where we continue to go is our own affair. He taught only this far. He has a boat and an oar and he gives it to us, both the boat and the oar. If we paddle with it, the boat will go forward. If we don't paddle with it, the boat stays where it is. It's our own affair. 106. In the cage. Whether we're happy or sad, feel pleasure or pain, cry or sing, as long as we're in this world, these things happen in a cage. We don't escape from the cage. Even if we're wealthy, we're in a cage. If we're poor, we're in a cage. If we cry, we're in a cage. If we dance, we're dancing in a cage. Which cage? The cage of birth, aging, illness, and death. It's like a mourning dove we keep in our home. We simply listen to its song and we praise it. How pretty the sound of my dove. My dove has a low voice. My dove has a high voice. That sort of thing. We never ask the dove if it's enjoying itself or not. We give it rice to eat and water to drink, but everything is in the cage. And yet we think that the dove is satisfied. Have we ever stopped to think, if someone gave us rice and water and put us in a cage, would we be happy? In the same way, we're caged in this world. This is mine, I have this, I have that, all kinds of things, but we don't understand our own condition. Actually, we're gathering stress and suffering into ourselves because we don't look deeply into ourselves, in the same way that we don't look deeply into the dove. It looks like it's living comfortably. It can drink water and eat food, and we think that it's happy. The same with us. Even though we live in extreme pleasure and comfort, once we're born, we'll then have to grow old. When we're old, we'll then have to grow sick. When we're sick, we'll then have to die. This is suffering. This is the way we suffer. 107. Filling the glass. The way that people think once they're born is that, having been born, they don't want to die. Is that the right way to think? Take this glass here. If we pour water into it and yet don't want it to be full, if we keep on pouring water into it and yet don't want to be full, can we get what we want? It's the same with people once they're born. Once they're born, they don't want to die. Is that kind of thinking right? If things could really be that way, with everybody born and not having to die, we'd suffer even more than we do now. If nobody born into this world ever died, we'd all be eating one another's shit. Where could we go to get away? It's like the water in this glass. Can you keep on pouring it in without wanting the glass to be full? That's the way it is with the world. Get things into perspective. You can't want not to die. That's the way it has to be. 108. Mindfulness of death. If you were to break the law and in 7 days they were going to execute you, how would you feel? If you were sentenced to death and in 7 days they were going to execute you, what would you do? I want you to reflect on this. As you are, You're already sentenced to be executed, simply that you don't know how many days you've got left. It might even be less than 7. Do you have a sense of this? You're already sentenced to death. They're going to have to execute you, but if you don't know, you don't feel anything. But if you were to break the law and the authorities were to catch you and execute you in 7 days, oh, you'd really suffer. This is mindfulness of death. Death is going to execute you in just a day or two. When you're not aware of this, you relax. You have to think in this way so that you give rise to the conviction needed to practice the Dhamma. That's why the Buddha has you practice mindfulness of death at all times. Normally, when you think of death, it scares you, so you don't want to think about it. And when that's the case, how can you not be stupid? You've already fallen into that condition, but you have no sense of yourself, so you relax. But if you come to your senses and contemplate mindfulness of death at all times, you'll hurry up and make the effort to escape from danger. How can you just sit there? If you were to break the law and in 7 days they were planning to execute you, could you simply take it easy? You'd have to hurry up and find a way out.